Welcome back to the podcast. Today's conversation it's one of the hardest we've ever recorded. My guest today is Alexander Torres, former security guard at Little St. James Island. Alexander, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is hard to talk about, but I guess that's why I'm here.
Take your time. Let's start with what you remember most.
I still hear the boats, leaving at 3 a.m., and I'd count the passengers coming back at dawn. The numbers, they never matched.
The numbers never matched.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what I can't get out of my head, even now. The sound of those engines in the darkness and me standing there with my flashlight, trying to make sense of what I was seeing or what I wasn't seeing. My hands would shake every time I wrote the numbers in my log. Every single time.
Tell me about the first time you noticed.
God. Okay. So this is hard to talk about, but I guess that's why I'm here. It was probably 2 months into the job, maybe 3. I'm doing my rounds. It's like 4 a.m, and I hear this boat pulling up to the dock. Not unusual, right? Rich people, they come and go at weird hours, but I'm watching and I'm counting. There's like 8, maybe 9 people getting on. Girls, mostly. Young women, I mean. And some of the regular guests, the older guys. And the boat leaves, and I log it in my report like I'm supposed to. Then at dawn, maybe 6:30, the boat comes back. And I'm there again, doing my morning perimeter check. And I count the people coming off. 6. Just 6. And my hands started shaking right there, because I knew I counted 9 leaving. I counted 3 times to make sure.
What did you think in that moment?
I didn't let myself think it. You know what I mean? Like, your brain does this thing where it protects you from the really dark thoughts. So I told myself maybe they dropped some people off at St. Thomas first, or maybe I miscounted in the dark, or maybe there was another boat I didn't see. I made up like 5 different explanations. Anything except the one that was true. Anything except the one that made my stomach turn inside out.
Walk me back. How did you even end up on that island? Take me through the beginning.
Right, okay. So, this is 2015. I'm living in Miami, working security at this mall, making like $12 an hour. My daughter, she's got these medical bills piling up. Respiratory issues, needed treatments, and my ex-wife is on me constantly about child support. I'm drowning, man. Absolutely drowning. Like, I'm choosing between gas money and groceries, kind of drowning. And I see this job posting online, private security for a luxury estate. Says it pays $45 an hour, plus housing, plus benefits. I mean, that's 3 times what I was making. 3 times. So I apply, not really thinking I'd get it, but they call me in for an interview.
Where was the interview?
That's the thing. It was in this super corporate office building in downtown Miami. Glass and steel, receptionist, the whole deal. Looked completely legitimate. Like the kind of place where serious business happens. I meet with this guy. He's wearing a suit, got a firm handshake, very professional. And he's asking me normal questions at first, like about my experience, my background. Former military, which I wasn't, but I had 5 years of security work, clean record, references, the usual stuff. Then the questions got weird.
Weird how?
He asked me, "How do you handle confidentiality?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I understand client privacy." Then he asked, "What would you do if you saw something irregular?" And I'm thinking he means like, I don't know, celebrities doing illegal substances or having affairs or whatever. Rich people stuff. So I say something about how I'm discreet. I mind my business. I'm there to provide security, not to judge. And he smiles, this weird little smile, and says, "Perfect. That's exactly the attitude we need." And looking back now, I see it. I see exactly what he was really asking. But in that moment, I was just desperate for the job.
Did anything feel off to you then?
Honestly, no. Or maybe yes, but I didn't want it to feel off because I needed that job so badly. You ever need something so bad that you ignore all the warning signs? That was me. He has me sign this NDA, and I'm not kidding. It was 47 pages long. 47 pages for a security guard position. I skimmed it, signed it. Stupid, I know. But I'm sitting there thinking about my daughter's inhaler prescription that I can't afford, and I'm signing. Then he says they want me to do a site visit, see if I'm a good fit for the location. They pay for my ferry ride out to Little St. James, and I'm thinking, this is amazing, getting paid just to visit.
What was your first impression of the island?
Beautiful. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, like something out of a magazine. Crystal blue water, white sand, palm trees everywhere. The kind of place you see in vacation ads and think, nobody really lives like this. But they did. There's this main compound, really modern architecture, all clean lines and huge windows. And then there's this building that looked like a temple or something with a gold dome, blue and white stripes, looked almost Middle Eastern or Greek or something. I remember thinking it was weird but also kind of cool. Like, rich people are eccentric, right? They build weird stuff. I meet my supervisor, this guy named Marcus, former military, Marine, I think, maybe late 40s. Cold eyes, man. The kind of eyes that have seen things and don't care about seeing more things. Like nothing could surprise him or disturb him. He shows me around, shows me the staff quarters where I'd be staying 4 nights a week. Small room.
What were the rules they gave you?
Oh man, there were a lot of rules. Never enter the main house unless specifically called. Never speak to guests unless they speak to you first. Never, ever take photos. They were really serious about that one. They took my phone, gave me a different phone to use on the island. Said it was for security reasons. To prevent leaks, they said. And the cameras, there were security cameras everywhere. Everywhere except, and Marcus made this very clear, except in certain rooms, the private suites, some areas of the main house. Those were off limits to surveillance for guest privacy, which I thought was normal at the time. Rich people want privacy, sure, made perfect sense. Or I told myself it made sense.
Tell me about that first shift.
10 p.m. to 6 a.m., patrolling the perimeter. I've got a flashlight, a radio, and a list of checkpoints I'm supposed to hit every hour. The island's not that big, maybe 70 acres, so the route takes about 45 minutes if you're walking steady. My first night is pretty quiet. I see some lights on in the main house, hear some music, but nothing crazy. I pass by the other guards at their posts and I try to make small talk, you know? Like, hey, how long you been here? Or, so what really happens here? Trying to be friendly. And the way they looked at me, it was like I'd asked something obscene, like I'd crossed some invisible line. This one guy, I think his name was David, he just shook his head and said, "Do your job, collect your check, don't ask questions." And his voice was so flat, so dead when he said it.
And you didn't think that was a red flag?
Yeah, I did. But I also thought, maybe they're just serious about the NDA. Maybe they've had problems with people selling stories to tabloids or something. I convinced myself it was just about protecting celebrity privacy. God, I was naive. Or maybe I wasn't naive. Maybe I just wanted the money badly enough to be stupid, to ignore what my gut was telling me.
Walk me through what a normal shift looked like in those first few weeks.
Most nights were boring, honestly. Boring in a good way. I'd do my rounds, check the boats at the dock, make sure all the perimeter gates were locked, check the beach, check the paths, check the outbuildings. Same route, over and over. Guests would arrive by helicopter sometimes, or by yacht. I'd see them from a distance. Always older men, usually. Sometimes women too, but mostly men. The kind of wealthy where you can tell just by how they move, you know? Like they own whatever ground they're standing on. Designer clothes, expensive watches catching the light. And sometimes I'd recognize faces from TV. A politician once, I'm pretty sure. Some business guy I'd seen on the news. But I never approached them, never said anything. That wasn't my job. My job was to be invisible.
What about the girls? When did you first notice them?
They were there from the beginning. I didn't think about it at first. Young women, I assumed they were staff or guests themselves. They'd be at the pool sometimes, or I'd see them walking the grounds. They always looked, I don't know how to describe it. They looked expensive. Like they were wearing nice clothes, designer stuff. But there was something in their faces that didn't match the clothes. Something empty. Something that made my chest feel tight when I looked too long. I noticed it, but I didn't process it. You know what I mean? I saw, but I didn't see.
I think I do. When did that change?
3 months in, I'm doing my 2 a.m. rounds, walking past the dock, and there's this girl sitting there. Just sitting on the edge of the dock, feet hanging over the water, staring out at the ocean. She's maybe early 20s, skinny, wearing this dress that looks like it cost more than my car, but it doesn't fit her right. Too big, like someone else's dress. And she's crying, not making any sound, just tears streaming down her face, catching the moonlight. And the ocean's so quiet. Just these little waves lapping against the dock. And she's completely still, except for the tears.
Did you approach her?
Yeah, I walked over and asked if she was okay. Standard security stuff, you know? Make sure guests are safe. And she jumped, man. Jumped like I'd hit her. Her eyes went wide and she just stared at me like she was trying to figure out if I was dangerous. And I see her wrist. There's a bruise there, circular, like someone had grabbed her hard and twisted. Dark purple, almost black in the moonlight. And she says, in this accent I couldn't place, Eastern European maybe, Russian or Ukrainian or something. She says, I want to go home. Just like that, simple. I want to go home. And her voice was so small, so scared.
What did you tell her?
I told her the ferry comes in the morning, around 8. She could catch it back to St. Thomas. And the way she looked at me, God, I still see that look. She looked at me like I'd said the most insane thing in the world. Like I'd told her she could fly to the moon. She said, they won't let me on it. And before I could ask her what she meant, who they were, Marcus just appeared. I didn't hear him coming, didn't see him. He was just suddenly there, standing behind me. And he says, real calm, she's fine. Get back to your route. The girl's face changed instantly, went completely blank, like someone had flipped a switch. She stood up, smoothed her dress, and walked away. Didn't look at me again. Didn't look at Marcus. Just walked up toward the main house like a robot.
Did you ask Marcus about her?
Next morning, yeah. I tried to be casual about it, like, hey, that girl by the dock seemed upset. Is she okay? And Marcus looked at me with those dead eyes and said, she left by helicopter this morning. Private transport. None of your business. But I didn't see any helicopter that morning. I would have heard it. Helicopters are loud. You can't miss them. And that's when I started paying attention, really paying attention, writing things down in my head, noting patterns, noting faces.
To what specifically?
The manifests. Part of my job was logging arrivals and departures, right? Helicopters, boats, who's coming, who's going. They use code names, never real names on the official logs. Guest A, guest B, stuff like that. But I started keeping my own notes, just in my head at first, then in a password-protected note on my phone. The phone they gave me, which was stupid because I'm sure they were monitoring it, but I had to write it down, had to make sense of it, had to see if I was imagining things or if the patterns were real.
What did you notice?
Girls' names would appear and then disappear. Sometimes they'd reappear weeks later, sometimes not. Some names came multiple times, regular visitors. Some names I recognized from the news. There was an actor once, really famous guy, A-list. Won an Oscar. Been in huge movies. A tech billionaire. And I'm pretty sure I saw, I'm not going to say the name, but someone from the British royal family. I'm sure of it. The way the other guards acted around him. The level of security that day. And then there was this one name that kept appearing in the logs, Sophie. But I saw at least 3 different girls called Sophie over like 6 months. Different hair, different faces, definitely different people. And that's when I realized they were reusing names to confuse the records. So if anything ever came out, if anyone ever investigated, the paper trail would be a mess, a nightmare to untangle.
Did you think about going to the police at that point?
I thought about it, but tell them what? That I saw girls on a private island, that rich people use code names? I didn't have proof of anything illegal, not really. Just a feeling in my gut that something was very, very wrong. And I was scared, man. The way Marcus had appeared behind me that night by the dock. The way the other guards acted. There was this sense that if you stepped out of line, if you talked, something bad would happen. I didn't have proof of that either, but I felt it. In my bones, I felt it.
Tell me about the scream.
How did you... Right, you read my statement, okay? This was about 4 months in, night shift, probably 2 in the morning. I'm near the main house, not supposed to be that close, but I'd heard something. A sound that made my skin crawl. A scream. Someone screaming, and then silence. The kind of silence that's somehow worse than noise, you know? Where you can feel the empty space where sound should be. Where the quiet itself feels violent.
What did you do?
I froze. Just completely froze. I'm standing there with my radio in my hand, and I hear it again, crying, muffled, like someone had their hand over her mouth. And I'm moving toward the window before I even realize I'm doing it. And I see shadows, movement through the curtains. The curtains were mostly drawn, but there was a gap and I could see shapes, people, movement. And I couldn't see what was happening, but I knew it was wrong. Everything in my body was telling me something terrible was happening in that room. And then the crying just stopped. My radio crackles and it's Marcus. Alexander, where are you? And I lie. I say I'm on the north side doing a perimeter check. He says, get back to your route. now. And I realize he's watching the security cameras. He can see exactly where I am. He knows I was near that window. So I walk away.
That was the moment you knew.
Yeah. That was when I couldn't pretend anymore. When I couldn't tell myself stories about eccentric rich people and privacy and NDAs. I knew something horrible was happening in that house, and I was being paid to make sure nobody stopped it. I was part of the machine that protected it. I started having nightmares every time I tried to sleep. I couldn't eat, lost like 15 pounds in a month. My daughter called me once. She's maybe 9 years old at this point. And she says, "Daddy, why do you sound so sad?" And I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell someone, but who? Who would believe me? And who would protect me if I talked?
Did you try to talk to any of the other guards?
Yeah, once. There was this guy, Carlos. He'd been there for 2 years, which made him kind of a veteran. We're both outside the staff quarters late one night, smoking cigarettes, and I'm trying to figure out how to ask without directly asking. So I say, "You ever see anything off?" And he won't look at me. He's staring at his cigarette like it's the most interesting thing in the world. And he says, "I see what I'm paid to see. Nothing." And I push a little, I say, "But if something bad was happening?" And he cuts me off. He says, "You know what happened to the guy before you? The one whose job you took?"
What did he tell you?
He said the guy quit. Ryan Patterson was his name. And then Carlos looks at me finally, and he says, "He quit, and now nobody can find him. His sister's been posting on Facebook looking for him for months, and the threat was clear, you know? It wasn't subtle." Carlos said, "You got family. Then you see nothing. You hear nothing. You cash your checks. That's how you stay alive." And his voice was so quiet, so serious. And I wanted to think he was exaggerating, trying to scare me. But that night, I looked up Ryan Patterson on Facebook, found his profile. His last post was 8 months before I got hired, just a normal post about watching a football game. And then, nothing. Radio silence. And his sister's page, she's posting these desperate messages. "Has anyone seen my brother? Please, if you know anything." Still posting them, even now. Years later, still looking for him.
You believed Carlos.
I believed him, and I was terrified. But here's the thing. I kept working. I kept showing up for my shifts. I kept taking the money because I convinced myself that if I quit, they'd just replace me with someone else. It wouldn't change anything. The only thing that would change is my daughter wouldn't have health insurance anymore. So I became really good at not seeing things, at looking the other way, at walking past windows with my eyes down, at logging numbers without thinking about what they meant.
Tell me about the VIP weekend.
Oh God. Okay, so this was maybe 6 months into the job. We get told there's a special event weekend coming up. More guests than usual, and they're doubling the security staff. Extra guards brought in, some I'd never seen before. All ex-military types, all with that same cold professional look. I get assigned specifically to the dock to log everyone arriving, and over 2 days, I count at least 15 men arriving, maybe more. Helicopters coming and going constantly, yachts pulling up. And I recognized a former senator, a lawyer who's always on TV, really famous defense attorney, faces from magazines, from news programs, people with serious power. The kind of people where if you told someone you saw them on a private island, they'd have lawyers destroy you before you finish the sentence.
And the girls?
6 of them arrived by boat from St. Thomas on Friday afternoon. The boat captain, guy named Jerome, he docked and they came off. And they looked young. Not underage, I need to be clear about that, but young. Early 20s maybe. And they definitely didn't look like they wanted to be there. One of them made eye contact with me, just for a second. And she mouthed something I couldn't understand. Maybe help, maybe something in another language. Then they were escorted up to the main house by staff. We were told the weekend was locked down. All guards stay at the perimeter. Nobody in or out without explicit clearance from Marcus. And I could hear it from the main house that night. Music, laughter, pool sounds. It sounded like a party, a normal party, like any rich people gathering.
But it wasn't.
Sunday night, late, everything went quiet, just silence. And Monday morning, all the men leave. They're relaxed, joking with each other, shaking hands, exchanging phone numbers. They look like businessmen after a successful conference. Happy, satisfied. And then the boat comes to take the girls back to St. Thomas. And I'm standing there at the dock with my clipboard and I count them boarding. 4. Only 4 girls get on that boat. But I logged 6 arriving. I counted 3 times to be absolutely sure. 6 arrived, 4 left, and I'm standing there. And the ocean's so blue and beautiful, and the sun's shining, and I'm holding this clipboard with numbers that don't match, and I feel like I'm going to pass out.
Did you ask anyone about the missing too?
I asked Jerome, the boat captain. He's a local guy, been doing transport between the islands for years. I said, "Hey man, didn't we have 6 coming in?" And he looked at me like I was crazy and said, "I transport who they tell me to transport." And he wouldn't say another word. Just started the engine and pulled away. And I watched that boat get smaller and smaller, taking those 4 girls back to St. Thomas. And I kept thinking about the 2 who weren't on it.
What did you think happened to them?
I couldn't let myself think it. Because if I really thought about it, if I let myself imagine what might have happened to those 2 girls, I would have had to do something. Report it, go to the police, something. And I was so scared. I was paralyzed by fear. Fear for my life, fear for my daughter, fear of losing everything. And I hate myself for it. I hate myself every single day for not doing something then, for choosing my own safety over theirs.
Something happened that changed things. Tell me about the bracelet.
I found it during a morning patrol, maybe a week after that VIP weekend. I'm walking the beach, doing my routine check, and there's something in the seaweed. A bracelet, gold, delicate, with a little charm. I pick it up, and there's an engraving on the charm. Just an initial and a date. I don't know why, but I pocketed it. Didn't report it, didn't log it, just put it in my pocket. And that night, back in my quarters, I couldn't stop looking at it, holding it, turning it over in my hands, and it became like, I don't know, a talisman, a reminder. Every time I saw it, I felt sick, but I couldn't get rid of it.
Why not?
Because it felt like evidence, like proof. Even if I couldn't prove who it belonged to or how it got there, it was something real, something tangible. And I thought about mailing it to the police anonymously, but I was terrified they'd know it was me. Somehow they'd figure it out and I'd end up like Ryan Patterson. So I kept it, and it tortured me every night, knowing it was there in my drawer, knowing some family somewhere might be looking for this person, wondering what happened. And I had this piece of evidence, and I was doing nothing with it.
At some point, you got called into Marcus's office.
6 months in, yeah. Marcus calls me on the radio, tells me to come to the office. It's this converted storage room, no windows, just fluorescent lights and a metal desk. And Marcus isn't alone. There's another guy there, someone I've never seen before. Expensive suit, like $1,000 suit, and this smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Total lawyer vibes. And they sit me down, and the lawyer says, "We've been monitoring your phone, Alexander. Standard security protocol." And they show me screenshots, my Google searches. What to do if you witness a crime. How to report anonymously. Ryan Patterson missing. All of it. Everything. Every desperate late night search when I couldn't sleep.
What went through your mind in that moment?
Terror. Pure terror. My blood went cold. I felt like I was going to pass out, like the room was spinning. And the lawyer keeps talking, very calm, very professional. He says, "You signed an NDA. You understand the consequences of breaking it?" And he lists them. Legal consequences, financial consequences, how they'd sue me for everything I have and everything I'll ever make. And then he says, "We'd hate for anything to affect your daughter's custody situation. Your ex-wife has been trying to get full custody, hasn't she? We'd hate to have to provide her with information about your employment here." They knew everything. My ex-wife, my daughter's school, my mother's address in Tampa, everything.
They were threatening you.
But then came the twist. The lawyer says, "We appreciate loyal employees who understand discretion. Your pay is being doubled effective immediately, $90 an hour." And he slides a paper across the desk, a new contract. "Take a week off, paid. Go see your daughter. Think about what's important. We trust you'll make the right decision." They weren't firing me. They were buying my deeper silence, making me more complicit by making me more comfortable. And as I'm leaving, Marcus says real quiet, just for me to hear, "Ryan didn't understand. Don't be like Ryan."
They were telling you they'd hurt you if you talked.
Yeah. And they were paying me to let them. I took that week off, went to Miami, stayed with my daughter, went to her soccer games, helped her with homework, and every night I'd take out that bracelet and look at it, and I knew what I should do. I knew the right thing was to go to the police, to the FBI, to someone. But I went back to the island. I signed the new contract. I took the doubled salary, and I stopped asking questions. I stopped looking too closely. I did my rounds. I logged my reports, and I pretended not to see things. I became exactly what they wanted me to be.
Why didn't you just run? Disappear?
Because they'd find me. I really believed that. Maybe I was paranoid, but it felt real. And because, and I'm ashamed to say this, the money was so good. I was drowning before that job, and suddenly I could breathe. I paid off my debts. I put money away for my daughter's college fund. I sent child support payments on time every month. My ex-wife stopped calling me a deadbeat. My daughter got the medical care she needed. And I told myself that I wasn't the one hurting anyone. I wasn't in that house. I wasn't doing anything to those girls. I was just there, just existing on the perimeter. It was a lie. But I told it to myself every single day, every single shift.
Take me to August 2019.
Everything changed. I'm watching the news in the staff quarters, and suddenly, his face is everywhere. Arrested in New York on trafficking charges, and the island goes into absolute chaos mode. People I'd never seen before start showing up. Lawyers, lots of lawyers, guys in suits with earpieces, and we're given instructions: destroy documents. I watched them take filing cabinets full of papers, load them onto boats, and take them out to deep water. I saw them physically smashing hard drives with hammers in the courtyard. Helicopters coming and going constantly. Not with guests anymore, but with people who looked like crisis management. They're scrubbing the place clean, wiping years of evidence.
What were you told?
Marcus gathered all the security staff, and he was very clear. If anyone asks, you saw nothing, you know nothing. This is a normal private property. You provided security for a residence. That's it, understood? And we all nodded. What else were we going to do? But in that moment, I realized the full scale of it. This wasn't just one person. This was a whole operation, a network, and it had been running for years, maybe decades, and I'd been part of it. I'd helped protect it. That's when the guilt really hit me, like a physical weight on my chest, like I couldn't breathe.
Could you sleep?
No, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every girl's face I'd ever seen on that island was haunting me. The ones who left on the boats, the ones who didn't, the one by the dock who said they wouldn't let her on the ferry, the 6 who arrived, and the 4 who left. All of them. I started having panic attacks, waking up, gasping for air. My daughter called, and I couldn't talk to her without crying. She thought something was wrong with me, medically wrong. She wanted me to see a doctor. But no doctor could fix what was wrong with me.
But you were still on the island at this point.
Yeah, for 1 more week. They kept minimal staff for legal reasons, they said, to maintain the property during the investigation. But most people were gone. Marcus was gone. Most of the guards evacuated. It was just me and 2 other guys, basically just keeping the lights on. And that's when I found her.
Elena.
Elena, yeah. I'm doing rounds late at night, maybe 11 p.m., and I hear something from the old maintenance shed. This building we barely used, mostly just stored tools and equipment. And I open the door, and there's a girl hiding in there behind some boxes. She screams when she sees me, then clamps her hand over her own mouth, and she's terrified, absolutely terrified. Her eyes are wild, she's shaking. She's maybe 19, 20 years old, skinny, wearing clothes that are dirty and torn. And she's speaking in broken English with this thick accent. And she tells me her name is Elena. She's from Ukraine.
How long had she been hiding there?
3 days. In the chaos of the arrest, of everyone evacuating, she'd been forgotten, left behind. She told me she was brought to the island 3 weeks before, told she'd be working as a model. And in those 3 weeks, she didn't describe it in detail, but I saw enough. The marks on her arms, on her neck, the way she flinched when I moved too quickly, the absolute terror in her eyes. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. She thought they were going to come back and hurt her to tie up loose ends, to make sure she couldn't talk.
What did you do?
I broke every protocol I'd ever been given. It was my day to take the ferry back to St. Thomas, and I snuck her onto it. Told the boat captain she was my girlfriend visiting, slipped him $200 in cash to keep his mouth shut. Got her to St. Thomas, took her to a church, found a priest, told him this girl needed help, that she was in trouble. I gave her all the cash in my wallet, $340. And she grabbed my hand and held it so tight, and she said, "You are good man, only good man." And I wanted to tell her that wasn't true, that I wasn't good, that I'd been there for months, that I'd seen things and done nothing. But she was crying and thanking me, and all I could do was make sure she got somewhere safe.
Did you ever find out what happened to her?
The priest connected me with an organization that helps trafficking victims. They got her back to Ukraine eventually, I got one email from her, maybe 6 months later, through the organization. She said she was home, she was getting help, she was alive. She's the only one I know for sure got out and got help. The only one. And I think about all the others, all the ones I didn't help, and it eats me alive.
And your job?
I quit the next day, didn't go back to the island. Just sent a text to Marcus. I'm done. And I waited for the retaliation. Waited for them to come after me, to threaten me, to make me disappear like Ryan. But nothing happened. My last paycheck arrived by direct deposit, plus a severance bonus of $15,000. And there was a letter, typed, no signature. It said, "Thank you for your discretion. We trust it will continue." It was hush money, blood money, and I took it. I'm so ashamed, but I took it. Used it to pay off debt, put some in savings for my daughter, and every dollar felt dirty. Every purchase I made with that money felt like I was spending pieces of those girls' lives.
Were you paranoid after?
Extremely. For months, I thought I was being followed. Every car that slowed down near my apartment, every stranger who looked at me twice, I thought they'd come for me. I stopped working security, couldn't put on a uniform without feeling sick. Started driving for a rideshare company, making a fraction of what I'd made on the island. My daughter kept asking why I seemed sad all the time. I started drinking too much, then I stopped, then I started therapy. But I couldn't tell the therapist the truth because of the NDA. So I sat there talking in circles about work stress and things I can't discuss. It was useless.
You watched the case unfold in the news.
Obsessively. Every documentary, every article, every interview with survivors. I saw faces of the men who were on the island, powerful men, denying everything, claiming they barely knew him, that they'd never seen anything inappropriate. And I wanted to scream at the TV because I'd seen them there. I'd logged their arrivals and departures, but nobody called me to testify. Nobody from the FBI contacted me. I was a loose end they apparently decided wasn't worth tying up. Or maybe they figured the money and fear would keep me quiet. And they were almost right.
What changed? Why come forward now?
My daughter, she's 13 now. The same age as some of those girls were when it started, when they were taken advantage of. And I look at her and I can't breathe sometimes. I think about if something happened to her, if she needed help, if she was scared. I'd want someone to speak up, even if they were scared, even if they were complicit, even if it was years later. I'd want them to tell the truth. And I realize I can't teach her to be brave if I'm being a coward. I can't tell her to do the right thing when I haven't done it myself. So here I am, finally doing what I should have done years ago.
So this is you going on record.
Yeah. I've contacted a lawyer about whistleblower protection. I know my testimony might not change anything at this point. The main person is dead. The case is complicated. A lot of powerful people have covered their tracks, but I have names. I have dates. I kept some of my notes, backed them up. And I have the bracelet. I'm turning it over to investigators. Maybe it helps someone get closure. Maybe it helps them identify a victim, find answers for a family, or maybe it means nothing. But I can't carry it anymore. I can't carry any of this anymore. The weight of it is crushing me.
Do you think you're a good person, Alexander?
No, I don't. Good people don't look away. Good people don't take money to stay quiet about evil. I was scared and I was broke and I made choices, bad choices. And girls paid for my choices with everything. With their safety, their innocence, maybe their lives. I can't take that back. I can't fix it. All I can do is tell the truth now. Even though it's late, even though it doesn't change what happened, it's all I have left.
What do you want people to understand?
That evil doesn't just happen because of evil people. It happens because of people like me. Normal people who see something wrong and convince themselves it's not their problem. It's not their responsibility. People who tell themselves they're just trying to survive, just trying to take care of their families. But silence is a choice. And every day I stayed silent. Every shift I worked, every paycheck I deposited, those were choices, wrong choices. And there are consequences to those choices that I'll carry forever. I want people to know that if you see something, even if you're scared, even if it costs you something, you have to speak up. You have to, because your silence protects the predators. Your silence hurts the victims. And you'll have to live with that weight for the rest of your life. That crushing, suffocating weight that never goes away.
Is there anything you'd want to say to the survivors? To the girls who were on that island?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I saw you and I didn't help. I heard you and I didn't act. I counted you leaving and coming back, and I knew the numbers didn't match, and I did nothing. I failed you in every possible way, and I know sorry doesn't fix anything. It doesn't give you back what was taken. It doesn't undo the trauma. But I'm sorry, and I'm speaking up now, finally, because it's the only thing left that I can do. The only small thing I can offer. The truth. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But it's what I have.
Thank you for coming forward. I know this wasn't easy.
It's the least I could do. Literally the least. Should have done it years ago. Should have risked everything the first time I knew something was wrong. But I didn't. And I have to live with that forever.
For everyone listening, if you have information about trafficking, exploitation, or anything like what we discussed today, please contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-37-37888. Resources are in the description. And if you're a survivor, there are organizations ready to help you. You're not alone. This has been a special episode of our podcast. Thank you for listening to Alexander's story. It's a reminder that speaking up, even when it's hard, even when it's late, it still matters. Truth still matters. Silence protects perpetrators, and every voice that comes forward, no matter how long it takes, is a step toward justice. Thank you all for listening.